Hi and welcome everyone. I am your host, Professor Tuck. Sorry it's been so long since I've checked in. There's been a lot that's been going on, and I've been trying to kind of straighten some stuff out so that those of you that would like to keep following me and following what's going on, I kind of want to talk about what I've been going through for the last week and a half or so. And also Sam went to the vet the other day, on Friday actually. I would have had a 6-day work week if it wasn't for Sam going to the vet. And it looks like I've been doing about, hey, what's up, DFH? Nice to see you, buddy. Oh, what is it? When the what's happening at work is that there's people that are asking for days off after the schedule comes out, and then there's shifts that come up to be taken. I usually leave it for about an hour, see if anybody else wants it, because I'm like, I'm happy. I get the most hours out of everybody there. Um, we all have our thing, but the most hours you're gonna get is about 26, and I'm hitting about 32 because I end up picking up extra shifts on my days off, because they need the help around there, and so I've been doing it. And plus, getting a pay raise, that's an extra $2.50 an hour just for showing up and doing a few extra shifts. I mean, I'm trying to get a fat paycheck because here's the reality of the situation. I took Sam to the vet the other day on Friday, and they gave her the heartworm test. She came back negative. The vet in Florida never did a Lyme disease test on Sam that I am aware of. They just checked her for heartworms. I let her know that she was a trail dog and that we were going to be traveling. That's why she recommended the lepto vaccine and stuff like that. But Sam came up positive for Lyme disease. And the funny thing is all the things that I was making complaints about to the first vet were not properly listened to, because like I was telling her about how Sam drank a lot of water, and it was a big deal that Sam was drinking a lot of water. And she's like, "Oh, she's just a young dog. It's hot. It's this, it's that." And so she dismissed it instead of at least, taking, because they have to do a blood test on the dog. All they have to do is just there's one more test that they can do with the same blood that takes the same amount of time. At least this vet here did it. And I think Sam may have been having this for a while, and I think that that might be why she has the water issues, but she also may already be dealing with failed kidneys. So when I went to the vet, I paid for her, her heartworm, flea, and tick medication, but I also had to pay for of a 3-week supply of medication for her to fight the Lyme disease. Hopefully, what'll end up happening is that once this 3-week regimen is up, I've got to make a follow-up appointment anyways, just to make sure that Sam is doing well. Have the Lyme disease test done on her again, and um, have the Lyme disease test done on her again. And if she's out of it, then we're good. But I don't think she's gonna be. And so what that means is that she may be on medication for the rest of her life. What that also means is that yes, going to my I do have hey, just because since I'm getting ready to go on the topic, for those of you that are new here or that are watching this for the first time, I'm your host, Professor Tuck, and this channel is sponsored primarily by you, the viewers, and our one sponsor, which is Stephanie at openairproperties.net. If you are looking to go off grid, to be close to trail, to be able to have a blank slate of land, to be able to build your own kingdom your own way without buying something that's pre-built and overpriced, you want to build it yourself and live simply, have your livestock, stuff like that. She has property in Arizona, Colorado, and Arkansas. They're fairly rural. They're meant to be rural. But the thing is, you got to realize that all the prime piece of land has already been taken, and unless you can go find a prime piece of land, which is also going to be in a population center, which if you're a prepper or something like that, the last thing you want to do is be in a population center. So these properties are strategically placed in an area where you can not only live off grid and build your own little your own homestead or whatever it is that you want to build. You do have that ability in these three areas that Stephanie at openairproperties.net has. So, anyways, if you want to see what kind of land she has for sale, go to openairproperties.net. If you decide to contact her, you want to go and get some property from her, just let her know that Friar Tuck sent you. You just use the promo code Friar Tuck when you are either talking with her or submitting a contact form, and you'll get $50 off of your deposit. So, which brings me to why I'm talking about Arizona to begin with. Yes, I have a blank slate of land, and for if Sam is going to be as sick as she is, and I have people that are educating me on the worst case scenarios and the best case scenarios. So the worst case scenario is I need to have something more than what I have for her out in Arizona. I need to work on paying off the land as quickly as possible because just like I talk about Stephanie at openairproperties.net, I bought my land from her. Um, she's an amazing person, and she also sponsors the channel. But I need to make sure to get the land paid off, so that I can start getting some structures up there, because Sam is going to need kind of a little bit more of a stable four-wall condition than, living in my trailer out there that is holier than the Vatican. Um, and I just think that for her long term, that's not going to be easy. So I've got two things that I want to do. One is I am ready to start another business. I'm kind of figuring out the ideas of what business I actually really want to start, because the problem I was having prior was that to start a business meant I had to raise capital, and raising that capital and expecting the viewers to do it and stuff like that, it may have worked 5 or 10 years ago, but I don't see it as a viable solution as the economy crashes, as the world goes to hell. By getting the hours and the amount of money that I'm getting from Planet Sub, what is able to happen is this allows me to be able to save up enough money to be able to get a van. I want to be able to get a van so that, because there's nature trails, I want to take Sam out on nature trails. She may not be able to do, a 5,000-mile hike, but you know what? She will be able to do 50 or 100 miles at a time. Worst case scenario, best case scenario, she could do the whole AT with me. But the thing is afterwards she may be down for the count for a good year or two. It just depends upon the how this is affecting her and how long it's been in her. I only know what the doctors tell me, and so since the doctors aren't really telling me much, I can only go off of what I know, and I don't really know a lot. So I am working on those two things, because in order to be able to give Sam the quality of life that I want to give her, because I told her if she ever hurt herself on her own, like she did something stupid, it was on her, and I was just going to let her suffer the consequences. But being on trail, getting Lyme disease, that's my responsibility. It was the risk that we took by being on trail. And so now I'm making proper accommodations to make sure that as she deals with this, to make sure that I'm in a place where I can continuously afford her medication. It's probably going to cost me about $100 a month for her meds. And that's only if we stabilize it and it doesn't get any worse. If it gets any worse, I mean, we could be looking at $300-400 a month, because one of the primary things with Lyme disease is it can cause kidney failure. And for a dog, that's not a good thing. It's like a dog that's diabetic. And it's not good for her. And that's the biggest risk that she has, is that she will have kidney issues because she's over drinking water, overdoing her kidneys, because there's other things that are going on. And so that's the main thing that I've got to be mindful of with her. And so I'm kind of, at least until I get a better understanding of what's going on, I'm going to I'm going to make sure to handle it with kid gloves, and do it as best as I can. Again, this was a risk that I knew that I took with Sam. But if you guys want to see Sam, I'll show you Sam real quick. There she is. She's laying right there. Yeah, you gonna say hi? Yeah, she is kind of the other thing that I've started noticing, and some people are saying that she It could be part of the Lyme disease. It also could be the fact that she's getting older, is that she seems a lot more lethargic. She's got energy, but she doesn't have a lot of energy to be able to do. I think taking her on like a 5 and 10 mile a day hikes is probably about the most I'll be able to do with her. But I probably won't be able to do sustained hikes for longer than maybe a couple of weeks at a time with her. Which is perfect because that's why I want to be able to get a van, and that's also why I want to be able to have a business that will give me the freedom to be able to take Sam out, and so that she can enjoy her life as a dog, even though, she's going to have some really serious health complications moving forward. So if any of you guys have any questions, I'd love to see what you guys got to say in chat, or even in your comments if you are watching this after the fact. But so what type of business am I considering on starting? It's going to be real simple. I've spent a couple years hiking. I have traveled in various ways, from, hopping rails, riding trails, walking trails, rubber tramping it, hitchhiking it, road walking it. I mean, I've done it all. Well, almost all of it. And I've done it over a course of 25 years. And I think that this is the time where I take that knowledge and I start helping people. Um, Now, to the average person, they're thinking, "Oh, this is cool. I can learn how to hike. I can learn, basic survival gear, stuff like that." But if you are a prepper, I think that, of course, whether it be in your local area or not, having a basic survival course in hiking, and understanding trails, because it's a little bit different than you're going to anticipate. And although they're going to be teaching you about what gear to have, how to choose your gear, why gear is this, what type the campsites are, how to navigate a trail, how to be able to find your way back on trail, how to be able to leave no presence and no footprint. And there's a lot of things that go into being able to travel long distance. It's not, I got a bug out bag, I can travel 60 miles in one day, on my e-bike to get to home. We're not talking about that. We're talking about, oh, as of recently, there's people calling for the possibility of a civil war over the assassination of was it Charlie Kirk? And so I've been reading up on it and stuff like that. And if the world really does come to a halt in that way, where it becomes very, I don't know what to say, it becomes very hostile to live in, people will have to migrate due to either hostilities, famines, or other issues. Because, like I was trying to explain to Oz when we were having a conversation, since the mid '90s, we have been putting depleted uranium and nuclear based compounds in our munitions. And so, if we have a full scale war, even the bullets that the infantrymen have some trace elements of uranium in it. It's part of, even if a bullet grazes you, the uranium in it could cause all kinds of other health issues, therefore debilitating an enemy combatant. There are benefits to it, but that means that all of that waste will, if the whole northern hemisphere, we're talking about Russia, China, United States, and Europe, all decide that we don't like each other and we're going to have a knockdown, drag out fight, that means everybody's going to have some sort of these types of munitions in the area, and some of these may put it to a point where an area is uninhabitable, or the unintended or unforeseen consequences of all of this, how it causes a change in the weather patterns in the ecosystem, are really what may cause you to migrate. And understanding how to migrate past the, oh yes, I'm going to get in and I'm going to do my e-bike. Dude, you may be on the road for years. You guys watched me on the road for 2 years. It took me 2 years to get to a point where I could buy a piece of land. Okay. And that was starting from scratch with nothing. um, and you guys have no idea, if you guys have been watching this for a couple of years, you would know that how much gear I actually cycled through to find what worked, what didn't work, what was viable, what wasn't, and all these other things. It was a big deal. But anyways, guys, this is a basic check-in I wanted to do with you guys, let you know what's going on, where my mindset is, why things are happening the way they are. I am so right now, so you guys know that I have the design. It's feelings aren't facts. And one of my favorite subscribers, he was telling me, he was saying, hey, if I donate $100 or over time, could I get a free shirt? And so I've been looking at trying to get shirts that are quality, because I want something that's moisture wicking like this, but so that you can use it if you do want to go hike, or if you live in a hot climate, you're going to want something that's going to be a little bit thin and able to be able to do moisture wicking. I may later on, if there is some popularity in all this, but the thing is it's costing me so much to get them produced. Like, I have to buy them at a dozen. I can't buy any less than a dozen, and it's going to cost me almost $300 to get this done. And so that means that I'm going to be selling these shirts at probably like 30, $35 a piece. I only maybe make $4 or $5 a piece on them, but I want to start, developing that avenue, because one, it helps a small town business here, because I mean, it's local. The guy that owns where I work at also owns the student body, which is who's going to be making these for me. And by the way, Northwestern Missouri State beat Texas A&M, but it was one of their satellite colleges. But for the fact that Northwest Missouri State beat a Texas team, they actually are Division Two. They won they won the Division Two national championship. What was it, like, in 2019, 2020? So, like, yeah, yeah, but anyways, these guys are very enthralled. The college is one of the big things that makes this town. It's why you have like a Walmart here and a Target and stuff like that, because it's actually for the college. And so I thought I'd mention that. But anyways, I'm working with them to be able to get shirts. I'm not selling them to really make a profit. I'm selling them to kind of start building a brand, um, around what I intend to do. And you guys that haven't been subscribed over on America's Backbone, I've already put my first video up. I'm going to try and put another one up today. Once I get to 50, then I can start doing live streams over there, but I'm probably going to keep it over here. Because everybody's kind of still feeling under the weather. We are because yeah, it got really cold and then it got really hot all of a sudden. And that's kind of, Oz has a not so good immune system, so she's been down, and I've just been working myself into the ground, so I'm kind of like myself. But just this is what I'm gonna what the kind of the avenue. So what does that mean for this channel? For those of you that are curious, I'm still gonna keep this going. This is my personal channel. This has nothing to do with business. This has to do with, hey, you guys want to see what life is like to go from having a house to becoming homeless, to um learning how to thrive in homelessness, and then from thriving getting off the streets, and then I just keep stepping up and up and up, and every time there's a new opportunity I keep taking it. So a homeless journey is more than just oh, I'm on the streets now, I'm off. There's a lot more to it, because there's a lot more struggles, because right now, just because of my personal shortcomings, just from the long term effects of the life I've lived, being on and off the streets and just kind of running myself into the ground. I was telling Oz, and she's like, "You should tell the people this so that they understand what it's really like." It's like, okay, so think of it like this: being homeless is a 40-hour a week job minimum, and then you got to go work a 40-hour a week job, to put a roof over your head so that you can so that all you do is work. So when you're on the streets, you work twice as hard than when you're not on the streets. And then once you get off the streets, you still got to work hard, but you don't get any rest. You don't get a vacation. You don't get time to sit there and exhale and to be able to decompress from the long-term effects of whether you're out there for 3 months or 3 years. You still got to process that now that you're in four walls and you're not, the whole world isn't caving in on you. And so you go from the street life and having to do basically a 40-hour a week job just to be able to survive homelessness. And then you go into a 40-hour a week job. At what point in time does your body get a chance to rest, or your mind get a chance to process what it went through? And so if you do this so many times over time, what ends up happening is you get what I have. Not only do I deal with brain damage, and I think that the brain damage is kind of making it um, a little bit harder to deal with, but all in all, the effects are still the same. The exhaustion is still there. Like, just imagine, like, I could imagine our ancestors, how exhausted they felt by the time they were 45 years old, and why they didn't really live long lives, because all they did was toil, toil, toil. They had no time to sit back and go, even in a slow paced lifestyle, because there was always stuff to do. Survival, you're always cleaning, you're always building, you're always replacing, you're always tilling, you're always plowing, you're always. There's never a shortage of things to do. And I think that part of what helps us lead longer lives, because those that have been homeless really don't get to live very long lives, is your body needs there's a time to toil, and then there is a time to rest. And when you spend your whole life toiling without getting an opportunity to rest, to take a vacation, to be able to sit back and go, and maybe work a 3-day work week, so that you've got 4 or 5 days during that week to where you can decompress but still support yourself. um these are the struggles that the average homeless person, the average human being, has once they go on and off, 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 on and off. And if you've done it for a long enough time, just to do one simple task sometimes in a day can be as exhausting as working a 10-hour day. um as a uh um, I don't know, maybe not drywalling, but something similar. um and 10 hours a day being a handyman. Think of it like that. Okay, so it just, the simple task. I mean, I even struggle at my job. I get back there in the sandwich area and I start making the sandwiches. Like, I already know them. I've gotten some of them memorized, but I still keep making the mental mistakes, because for me, just to be able to pull and recall that from memory, to be able to go through the process, and to be able to put all of that mental energy into being able to do that, by I'm doing like 6-hour shifts, and by 2 hours into making sandwiches, I'm starting to make mistakes. I'm starting to have problems to where I can't even concentrate, things like that, because of the toil. So this is part of the reason why you guys aren't seeing me a lot on here, because I'm kind of trying to work and rest and figure out that balance while still keeping this going. And it's a big deal, but it is also part of the process of getting off the streets and becoming a viable citizen. It's not just because you can pay rent, you're now no longer homeless, we don't need to worry about you, you're fine. There is a long-term process that happens for years past. The longer you've been doing it, the longer it takes to recover. So if you are homeless for 6 months, I would say that you need at least 18 months worth of mental recovery, of being able to deal with, process, and rewire not only your brain, but your whole psyche, as far as how you can come back and become a normal member of society. One of the things that Oz tells me is that I'm still feral. I mean, I've been here, what, almost 3 months now, and she tells me, yeah, you're still feral. Living in a trailer for a year in the middle of the Arizona desert, and then being on trail for 2 years prior to that, plus all the times on and off the streets. You don't realize it. You think it's normal, and then all of a sudden they're like, no, dude, you are a feral human being. There are things that I'm trying to get you to understand that you got to do, that, like, uh, it was normal to the average person, but it doesn't seem normal to you. And these, like I said, this is why it takes so long to be able to recover from a process. So the 3 years I spent, I would say I need at least 6 years of really full on decompression, stability, the ability to be able to just take a deep breath, so that I could get over the long term effects, and actually have some semblance of a normal life, and being able to fit into society and assimilate. Because when you don't allow a society to assimilate, you create rebels like me. That's why you see my logo calls us digital rebels, because In nature, I am anti-authority and anti-system, but that's part of the feralness that homelessness gives you if you leave it unchecked long enough. If the whole world, if 10% of the society, um, uh, uh, hold on, dark cloud NC, medication is medicine. It calms the mind to help slow things down, even when you're at work. It's all about slowing things down, even while you're hectic situations. Homelessness causes PTSD. Okay, dark cloud. I could see where you're coming on that, but I've talked to people that are, 10, 15 years older than me, and I'm like, hey, man, I'm struggling here. I know what I'm capable of, and I see how much I struggle just to be able to do basic things. How do you handle it as you get older? And one of the things that I keep hearing commonly from the three or four people that I asked was, you just got to slow down, do one thing at a time, and just realize you're not 20 anymore. You're almost 45, and pretty soon you'll be 60, and pretty soon you'll be 80, and if you don't get comfortable with it now, you're going to have a problem with it later. And that's the reality of it. I think that's really where like midlife crises come from. But I think that medication, Freud, the pretty much considered the father of psychology, believed that medication was the last thing. Hey, what's up, Eric? Believed that medication was the last resort, not the first resort. See, the thing is he tried things like shock therapy and behavioral training and things like that. And for some people, it became more traumatic than the actual thing. And so instead of actually figuring out what was right, what was wrong, they just started putting everybody on medication. Here, take a pill, take a pill, take a pill. Well, for 23 years, they were cramming pills down my throat that they should have never been giving me because, yeah, PTSD, there's no medication for it. The best thing they can do is give you behavioral training. You could either do a CBT or CDT. um, you can do group therapy, but there is no real medication. It's about rewiring the mind. But if you are bipolar, well, that's a chemical imbalance. Some of it can be managed by teaching people, like just like me being homeless, I have feral things. People with that are extreme in the bipolar can be a little feral themselves. And so by giving them the opportunity to, at least try and do personality corrections before they go to full on medication or use it as a temporary thing. Like I used Zoloft for a year. It made a huge difference in my life. I stopped having adrenal rushes. I was actually able to have control over my emotions. But because I had that year of stability where I could actually see what it felt like and understand how to interact and react, because the emotion part was turned off so that the brain part could observe and figure out like how to be able to manage it with stable emotions. After that year, I've had continued stability since. What's up, Gia? Nice to see you. No, not medication, meditation, deep breathing, and humming. Yes, I will say that that yes, chants, mantras, all that stuff. It's about harmonic resonance and using the tones and the frequencies as tuning forks. The universe is very it's simplistic yet complex once you understand the basics. So if you want love brought to you, well, they have Hindu gods that have the harmonic resonance for love. If you want money brought to you, you can chant to Lakshmi and Narayan. And if you chant, you're hitting that harmonic resonance. It has nothing to do with a deity or a god. That is just how they explained it. But in reality, the harmonic resonance is like a tuning fork to the universe to bring to you what you need. That's part of the law of attraction, is to see it, think it, and say it. And sometimes you've got to say it in a way in which you're hitting that tuning fork to the rest of the universe. So yeah, harmonic resonance is important in the balancing of a human being in all aspects of life. I completely agree with you on that, Dark Cloud. I needed that. I just needed to be able to have some. Yeah, I have been getting dehydrated lately. It seems like coming off trail, I stopped drinking water, and it's getting worse, especially in the Midwestern humid heat. Oh my God. At least in Arizona it wasn't that boy. Okay. So it sounds like we've had a good conversation here with you guys. Um, my next day off, Tuck, I am preparing for the upcoming economic recession. Upcoming, it's been here. It's being artificially inflated because they're all the rich need to be able to get their money out before it collapses on the common man. That's all that's happening. That's why you hear about money moving over into foreign exchanges, and you hear about people going to, what is it, New Zealand and stuff like that. They've been preparing for at least 5 years or more for what we're about to go through, because in order to be able to bring about the digital currency, you have to completely collapse the system. They don't want to tell you that, but everything is going to have to equal zero. And with everything, every piece of paper, every unconditional promise to pay, which is money, which is currency, which is the US dollar, all the way down to the Federal Reserve note that you are using. It's a note, which means it's a negotiable instrument. And a negotiable instrument is a dead instrument. It means that you give an unconditional promise to pay. And so that means even the dollar that you use to buy the laptop, now that belongs to the Federal Reserve, because your politicians decided to mortgage the future for a delusion. And that is in order for all of that to come to zero, that means that you will own nothing and you're going to be happy, because now we're bringing in the digital currency. Because if everything is collateralized and the bank gives you money out of thin air off of actual physical collaterals, when it comes time to actually pay the debt. Now, Ireland during the 2008 crash, if you guys remember, Ireland was uh, uh, what was under the gun for a while, but then all of a sudden, from what I understand, Winston Shrout and another Freeman were able to, through back channels, get him get the new prime minister of Ireland at the time. Um, and he was apparently, they asked a simple question to verify the debt. What risks was actually taken, what loss were actually taken, like what skin in the game did they have? And the thing is when you ask those questions, just like in 1967, um because the a promissory note, the way that modern money mechanics works, the way a promissory note works, it's an unconditional promise to pay. It goes into a close-ended deposit only account that is in the back end that nobody gets to see. It's just your loan number, that's your account number. And so what you do is when you pay the bank takes their cut and then puts the bare minimum that they've got to put in there over the course of 30 years. And but did the bank risk anything? Was there any risk? Where did that money come from? Well, it doesn't come from depositors. When they tell you it comes from depositors, it doesn't. They took zero risk on it because it was the house that was collateralized. So they lose nothing, and it costs them nothing to make that money. And so therefore, again, you've got to, unless we question the debt, which you're not going to get anyone to do, because they're all part of the Ponzi scheme to begin with. Everything is going to be taken away from us because it is now owned by the Federal Reserve and all the central banks. That is what the transition into a digital currency most likely will look like as the system collapses on itself, because you can only rack up so much debt and have so much collateral to where there is no more collateral left to give. They've already mortgaged you and me and everything else that we own, and there's no more left to mortgage. And so they have to reinvent the monetary system. It happens every 100 years. That's where the Great Depression really took place, because we were near the end of almost 100-year period of time where we had no central bank. It was all ran by the Department of Treasury. And so at the end of that, we got the Roaring Twenties and then the Depression. Okay, and so even not having a central bank, you're still going to have 100-year cycle on currency and economy, and we're at the end of that 100 years. So expectations from the system. Well, it doesn't. Okay. I saw that Tesla is going to be starting Robo Eats, which is basically their food delivery program using Optimus robots. Yeah, because you can get them for less than the price of He's selling them for 15,000, which means he can make them for 7. Okay, maybe even 5. Okay, so 5,000 plus he has Teslas, which are his car. So you got to realize this is the ecosystems that are being set up around AI. This all has to do with AI in the ecosystem. You got the Chat GPT ecosystem, you've got the Open AI, or no. You've got Grok, and then you've got OpenAI, and you've got a couple others out there, but those are the only two that seem to be setting up an ecosystem, and those are going to be the Walmart and Amazon of our future. And you're going to get everything through them. Everything from your job to your car to the whole thing is just becomes company issued. And instead of having actual plantations, the whole world becomes the plantation. So that's just what I'm seeing. But people have been losing their jobs at record speed. Well, that has to do with AI on top of what's going on. See, by putting in AI, the companies are making money, but nobody has any money to go out and buy anything, and that's the conundrum. So, okay. All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and end this now. I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for being here. And hey, you should go over and check out my sponsor, Stephanie, openairproperties.net. Use the promo code FriarTuck for $50 off of your deposit. And I will see you. My next day off is actually, I am thinking, what is it? My next day off will probably be Monday of next week. Okay. That'll be my next day off. So it may be another week until you hear from me. I'm gonna try and because I know I have some short days, like some like half days where I think I might have enough energy at least to step on and just have like a 15-minute conversation with y'all. Okay, guys. I will see you within the next few days, and I will try. I will try doing some other things. Have a good week, Tuck. Take care. Thanks, DFH.